Over the past several years, several businesses have attempted to offer broadband internet provided by thousands of satellites in low Earth orbit, LEO, providing coverage of nearly the entirety of the Earth's surface. And many of the companies that invested in this business model went bankrupt, and very few people were able to connect to the internet from low Earth orbit. But a generation later, we are witnessing billionaires from Elon Musk to Jeff Bezos, as well as institutions from SoftBank to the United Kingdom, investing billions of dollars in broadband from space in a boom that began in 2015 and has only increased since 2020. And he eventually launched his Starlink last year. But here comes a country, China, that is a master in copying things, but with a different style. And they are developing a satellite constellation named SatNet that is reported to be better than Starlink. So it is like a clear warning for Musk that he is in trouble. But do you think Musk has anything to worry about? And also, do you think this StarNet is better than Starlink? Well, give the video a thumbs up and stay tuned to find out. Welcome to Genius's Guide, your daily dose of geniuses. So without any further ado, let's get started. China has also improved its capabilities in the space sector simultaneously. Chinese government officials have provided their immediate response to SpaceX's Starlink constellation as part of the aggressive deployment scheduled for 2020. And this response has resulted in improvements in the way policy, financing, and technology have been implemented, including, most notably, the creation of China's SatNet and GuoWang national network, its own constellation. Even though SatNet and GuoWang are in the early stages of development, they will likely be able to compete with Starlink and others in some markets, while also serving similar strategic functions from a government perspective. Moreover, there is a strong possibility that we may be witnessing the establishment of a red star link over China and the rest of the world in the next few years, with widespread support from high-level actors. As a result, the coordination between key players in the country's space industry, China is preparing to launch the first national satellite internet mega-constellation in the near future. According to recent comments made by senior officials, state-owned enterprises in the space sector have been working on amendments to earlier constellation plans and may have included as part of the GuoWang or National Network satellite project for internet connectivity. Hence, China submitted to the International Telecommunication Union (ITU) in September of 2020 applications for spectrum allocation, detailing plans to construct 2 constellations of satellite in low Earth orbit, totaling 12,992 satellites. The filings reveal that GW will consist of a constellation of sub-constellations whose altitudes will range between 500 to 1,145 kilometers, and their inclinations will range between 30 to 85 degrees. In addition, all of the satellites will operate across multiple frequency bands. Aerospace Science and Technology Corp, CASC, the country's main space contractor, made a public acknowledgement of the mega-constellation plan. He explained, "We are planning and developing space-based internet satellites and have already launched test satellites." Bao added, "A national network, GuoWang, company will also be established to be responsible for the overall planning and operation of the satellite internet construction." Yuzhen, the president of China SpaceSat Co., Limited, which is a CASC subsidiary, said that the Hongyan and Hongyun broadband constellations previously planned CASC and sister state-owned Giant China Aerospace Science and Industry Corporation, CASIC, respectively, would be altered by authorities. Gay said, "Relevant national departments are concluding overall planning for constellation construction and that he understands that the original plans for Hongyan and CASIC's Hongyun will undergo major changes." According to the recent figures from 2018, both constellations contain hundreds of low Earth orbiting communication satellites. In addition to that, a handful of technology verification satellites have also been launched since then, and by the end of this year, CSC hoped to have 60 Hongyan satellites in orbit. As a result of the comments, it appears the older constellations may be incorporated into the new, larger National Network Initiative, despite the fact that the progress of the project is still unclear. The government has decided to make satellite internet a national priority. However, in April 2020, China's National Development and Reform Commission added satellite internet to a list of new infrastructure. Moreover, in the recently approved 14th five-year plan for the period 2021 to 2026, as well as long-range objectives until 2035, it is suggested that a global network of communications satellites, Earth observation satellites, and navigation satellites is needed. We don't know what the future holds for China, but in addition to its Beidou navigation and positioning system, the country is also planning to deploy Gaofen satellites for its China High-Resolution Earth Observation System, CHEOS. However, the China Internet Investment Fund, CIIF, has provided Beijing Comsat Technology Development Corporation Limited with funding for the research and industrialization of satellites last year. Despite this, there is no clear indication of what role, if any, these companies will play in the development of the national network. According to Ian Christensen, Director of Private Sector Programs at Secure World Foundation, China may be able to achieve a number of goals through the GW National Network project. In addition, it supports domestic technology and economic development goals, contributes to China's regional leadership and soft power diplomacy efforts. Christensen says, development of the constellation will also provide domestic employment, anchor space-related industry clusters, and contribute to economic development through serving and enabling domestic connectivity needs. According to him, the project could also be used as a soft power tool as part of the Belt and Road Initiative or as part of diplomacy efforts within the nearby regions. Although constellations like SpaceX's Starlink and OneWeb and the Amazon Kuiper broadband satellites, which are being launched by the Atlas V missions, are active and on track, the planned GW constellations offers even greater concerns in regards to space debris and the management of space traffic caused by the deployment of such a constellation. Christensen says, I personally would take the likelihood of the successful deployment of the GW constellation seriously. It should place further emphasis and urgency on the need to improve global coordination practices for the deployment and operation of large constellations. He added, space safety is an area where there are shared interests between the US and Chinese actors, including both government and private sector actors, but overall geopolitical trends make meaningful dialogue challenging. According to Tesla China, the company will not use Starlink services in China, and that all Tesla vehicles and electric recharging stations will use Chinese telecom networks in China, along with all vehicle-related data being stored there. Although China launches satellites at a faster rate than any other country, it still trails far behind the United States in terms of the number of satellites in orbit. At the beginning of August, there were 2,787 active satellites in orbit, according to the Union of Concerned Scientists satellite database. In these, 1,425 are owned or operated by the United States, 382 are owned or operated by China, and 172 are owned or operated by Russia. However, it is important to note that a low altitude is essential to provide low latency. However, the current geostationary satellites of SpaceX orbit 26,200 miles from the center of the Earth and 22,300 miles above the surface of the Earth. This means a signal takes roughly 0.240 seconds to make a round trip. Additionally, the Starlink is in orbit at 340 miles, which allows it to cut the speed of light lag to almost 100th of the original speed of light. Recently, a number of 60 US satellites for SpaceX's Starlink high-speed global internet access project have been successfully launched from his company's Falcon 9 rocket last month. As a result, the number of commercial satellites has continued to increase since about 10 years ago when they were created. It is estimated that in 2019, the space economy generated $366 billion in global revenue, with the commercial sector dominating the market. In the 2020 State of the Satellite Industry report, published by the Satellite Industry Association, SIA, it was noted that the commercial satellite industry generated $271 billion in revenue in 2019, representing nearly 75% of the global space business, while the United States consumed $114 billion or 42%. Hence, the Chinese government has started to triple its spending on space science, as well as the emergence of a small but growing number of privately backed space startups. Or in other words, it is a clear warning to all of the space agencies, including SpaceX and NASA, that these two are about to go over them so that they can become the #1 in space technology. But what do you guys think about this? Let us know in the comments section, and make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for us to provide you with more must-know developments in finance and technology. We'll see you soon. Peace.